and this is where I'm so So I think Amy and I both we have like.
All right, here we go.
It's me.
Live on the mics and
Sorry for the delay, everybody. Eric was a little slow tonight.
Eric was so ready. I love our
messing up the 5-second countdown. I lost my mouse.
Can that be a drop?
I mean, we're recording it. We'll just go. 5, 4, 3.
Welcome, everyone, and pull up a seat at the table. It's Lunchtime in Rome. Tonight's episode 249 is entitled Summer Then versus Summer Now. For most people, summer is always great. However, was summer better back then or now? That's what we'll be talking about at the table this evening. So pull up a seat and join us. First time listeners can subscribe on your favorite podcast app or watch us live or later at youtube.com/@lunchtimeinrome. Visit us at lunchtimeinrome.com, and while there, you can take our relational needs questionnaire. Make sure to follow us on all social media, and it would be great if you gave us a 5-star review. Jay, what specifically is this podcast about?
Being alone is the worst. Good times aren't as good, and bad times are worse when you're all alone. Romans 12:15 says to rejoice with those who rejoice, mourn with those who mourn. That is how you keep people from being alone, and what this podcast is all about. We demonstrate that in the first 15 minutes of the podcast, and we talk about it for the rest. So while it may not be 12:15 in Rome, we're treating it like it is
Lunchtime in
Rome. Rome, baby.
Yeah.
Anybody going to Rome this summer?
No.
Somebody is.
somebody
in the
Lots
world.
of people. Lots of people.
Well, any of you sitting at the table, let us know if
Let
you're
us
going.
know. Remember when Bucci gave us the spoon?
I know, I still have it around here.
You know what would be fun if somebody
We
went to
all
Rome.
went to Rome.
Oh, that would be fun too. But if somebody
That's a
goes
members
to
only
Rome,
podcast. We're going to take a tour together.
With the merch sales. Go on.
yes, merch sales. I can't wait this summer after I'm off work. I'm gonna spend some time on that.
I believe it.
I'm already off work. This summer's been such a busy start. For
Do
us.
tell.
Yeah, we took a little trip as regular listeners will know. Amy and I
here.
did.
People who sit at the table.
Rider. You're like, we took a little trip.
Yeah.
Take a little trip. Okay.
What is that song?
It's Lowrider.
Rider. Anyway, was that ZZ Top?
No, I think it was War.
Cheech and Chong, actually.
Okay.
How'd the trip go?
It was great, and we are going to when Amy can be on in a couple weeks or so. We're gonna both be on, and sort of that's going to be the subject of an episode, which
cool.
we're both very interested in and excited about. But I'll just give the quick update that it was awesome, it was amazing, it was life changing for us, like to walk through that process. That we talk about it on pod. That's what we do. But like, they call it a marriage intensive, and that's what it was. It was like 6 days of like just us. Here we go. We're going like every step of the way. Boom, 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 and it was I'm trying to think of a
Would you
different
say
adjective.
transformative?
I would say transformative.
May I ask
Thank
you, not to give away, the podcast, the time at the table when we talk about it, but what was the biggest difference between what you've learned, whether it be here, whether it be in church, whether it be in the Good to Great series, if you've been to those or not, and being there? Because it's the same topics, unless they didn't change it, by the way. They still want comfort and
Yes.
emotional responding. Okay.
Yes.
So what was the biggest difference?
Between just anything I've been through before, or you're talking about like what you teach?
I guess what I'm saying is, what made it transformational, and life changing?
I think the biggest thing, honestly, wasn't any sort of difference. It was just the intensive
Focus.
Yeah, it was the focus of it. I mean, there were impactful moments. I don't want to get too
No,
into it
no,
because
no,
I'm
no,
really
no.
excited
Nope.
to like
Yeah,
share with
don't do
Amy.
that.
So, but I would say that like
Yeah,
it was
I mean,
just the
when's the last time you spent 6 days
yeah,
on anything,
right.
and let alone your marriage, which is the most hot topic? So it was just sort of the intense application of all the different things. Now, let me ask you this question, and then we'll get away from it.
Okay,
Now, the second 4 days, so you're there 2 days with just Amy,
Right.
and a counselor,
Yeah.
and then 4 days in a group.
correct.
Did anybody, like, knowing what you know, did people share things and you're like, oh, buddy, that ain't what you want to say. Oh, that's not it. Or, you know what I mean? Like, you're making mistakes, pal.
So not much, but I think we had a quiet group, and there were only 3 couples, so 6 of us, and 2 counselors.
I was curious to how many people were there.
And I mean it was great. It was for us. It just felt like a couple days in, we're like, this is perfect.
Now, was that like in your group, and there was other groups, or that was it?
That was the only group that was there with Spring Life, which is the
Atlanta version of
right
Center
of
for-
C, yeah.
Got it.
It wasn't like there was like, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Yes. So, but we had a quiet group. I think there wasn't a lot of speaking up in sort of like a oh, he's saying the wrong thing kind of way.
Yeah.
It was a lot of listening by all 6 of us and like trying to respond in the correct ways and things like that. It's not we didn't say things
I'm
perfectly
very,
all the
very
time.
encouraged. Like when you texted us the first day, and you were like, hey, Amy, I think sent the text, heading in, blah, 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 blah. And then silence.
Yeah.
I was like, that's either going really well or really bad.
Well, and like a day in, that was like right before our intensive, I think. And then a day into it, I was going to text you guys, and then I was like, no, they haven't texted me, and maybe they're thinking like,
Let them go.
yeah,
let 'em
just like
be.
let's let this bubble exist. Let's not pop it, so I felt the same way. I was like, that's very respectful. I like that. Let's
That's
just,
what it was.
Let's
It
just
was not- we
let's
don't
just
care.
go with it.
I'm just
yeah.
never going to text you again.
We were talking about you all the time. We had not forgotten about you. We had all
So
kinds
yeah,
of
so
scenarios.
there's the teaser. I don't want to give
I do have one question, but I don't want any details. But have you guys ever read your therapeutic letters to each other before?
no.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's it.
Did you on the trip?
No. Really? And that might be one thing that's different. We'll have to discuss that and see if.
Yeah, curious to hear about that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And yeah.
Well, okay. So the genograms we did in front of everybody. We didn't read therapeutic letters in front of everybody.
Jay, what's a genogram?
Well, you can look at podcast number blank, 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 but it is a visual relational family tree that helps you tell the story of growing up relationally and emotionally.
Does that be good to explain that?
No, it's a brilliant move.
And since that's not
And a
like
therapeutic letter is a letter that you write to somebody in your family that raised you or had a significant impact on you, even if as an adult you have an ex-wife and it was terrible or an ex-husband and it was terrible. It's a letter that you write to them, never sending it to them, that you then read to a trusted loved one who will comfort you through all the hurts.
yeah, that we didn't even discuss, honestly. So yeah.
Interested to hear more.
I'll send them an email.
Do it.
Send them a therapeutic letter.
Speaking of therapy, I went to the chiropractor today because my small of my back from about 3 months ago when I hurried up to do field work with disc golf and wrenched the small of my back because my form is wrong and the power is coming from my back and not my left leg. it comes and goes, and I just kind of got tired of it, and I'm like, all right, I'll go. And if you saw my Facebook post, and you probably didn't, I go in and I said, look, I want you to work on my back. I said, but I want to tell you about how I hurt my elbow on the monkey bars. And then as
Wait,
he's working,
What are monkey bars called nowadays?
overhead ladders,
Yes.
I call them monkey bars.
Yeah.
Anyhow, we don't want to offend a primate. Point of the story is,
True.
I was like, oh, and by the way, about a couple months ago, 3 times within a month, I had like what felt like plantar fasciitis in my foot. But it wasn't, because it wasn't towards the heel. It felt like my this. And then he goes, all right, I'll take a look at that. And then I said, and I pulled my hamstring. I got a hamstring cramp, but I'm pretty sure that has nothing to do with my skeletal situation, whatever. So, I mean, I've been to the chiropractor a good bit. It's normally the neck from my car accident or my back for different things because I'm moving and I'm older. So he does my back a little bit, and he goes, oh, you're completely shifted. And I was like, oh, all right. And within seconds, I'm like, oh, well, that feels like a normal back now. Like, and it wasn't agonizing. It was just
Right.
like
Yeah.
this dull ache, and it would move
Yeah.
a little bit, and it would be over here, and it's over here, and everything else. So then he goes down to my left foot, pulls it, and my left hip makes an audible noise.
Wow.
And I was like, if I didn't trust you, I'd think you're doing this. Like, so then he goes to my right and he pulls it. Didn't give me the pop in the hip, but it pops in my ankle. Then he does my foot again. And I'm like, it felt like he was about to pull my foot out of the ankle joint. It was unbelievable. So then he sits
And then he
with-
tickled your toes.
yeah. And I was like, why are you sucking on my big toe? Because that doesn't seem like
And
a
then,
thing.
and then the tick bite that was on the back of your neck mysteriously.
Well, I didn't get a tick check tonight, so I could have a tick
okay.
on me. I had one yesterday. 5 on the ear. And then he goes up to my shoulder and does what he's done before, which he basically presses with both hands. And he's like, dong. He just made this like ringing noise,
Your shoulder.
my left shoulder.
A
So it's-
ringing noise.
Yeah, I mean, it was just like boom. I said it twice. So as it turns out, it was, basically this my whole body had just like shifted and was
Yeah.
compensating the
Yep.
whole way up in a zigzag fashion.
Yep.
And that was fun, and I'm better now. And so then I was at the point of, well, the last thing I should do is go sit on my computer, because that's terrible, to be stationary. But going back and forth using a trimmer on a disc
Yeah,
golf course
right.
is how I got hurt in the first
Right.
place. So I did that.
Well, at least you know a guy that could fix you up. But it really is amazing. I think I was 12 when my parents started taking me to a chiropractor. And I swear by it. My entire life I've been doing it. And it really is amazing how, when you're not in alignment, you don't and you don't get that fixed or adjusted.
inherently
You
know
don't
it
even know.
unless
Yeah, you have
something's
no
wrong.
idea. But the entire time your body's compensating for other things, and so you're always out of balance and you're always using more energy. And then when you do get readjusted and put into alignment, it really is, like you said, it like you could have been walking around going, yeah, I feel pretty good. I feel all right. But then when he puts you in,
You're like, oh, that's how I'm supposed to feel.
Yeah, right. Now I feel
And
2 inches.
like I posted about it on Facebook because I said, I growing up did not go to the chiropractor. They were shysters. They
Yeah.
were, crack magicians as far as like the noise, not the drug. And, and because I had a girl one time say to me,
Crack
like,
magicians.
I was out of, volleyball player. She was like, oh, I was out of alignment. Or my left leg is shorter than my right leg. And it's because I'm out of alignment. It was 2 inches off. And I'm just like, your guy's selling you something. But I said in my post, there are bad chiropractors out there.
Right.
That'll
Yes.
do stuff. And I'm like, all right, I'm a pastor. There are bad pastors out there. It doesn't mean you shouldn't have a pastor.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I'm going to start cracking people's backs in church. That's what I'm trying to say.
That's what it breaks down to. That's the more. That's
Part
the
of the
point.
baptism process.
Yeah.
We have to talk about the disc golf trip.
That's your update.
So we went on a disc golf trip. It was myself, Jay, Joe, and Ben. All have been at the table.
Sadly,
multiple
others
times.
were busy.
Yes. And so the first trip we went on, that Airbnb was it was the
Yes.
best. They had just flipped the house.
You're talking like 2 years ago. or
Warren
whatever.
P.
Warren,
Yeah, 3.
yeah, Ohio.
It was
Warren, Ohio, yeah.
new appliance, everything,
Okay.
gorgeous kitchen, everything was beautiful, and it was
Even
it
the
was awesome.
smells. The smells were
Yeah.
good.
That ice maker, though.
That wasn't totally fault. I forgot about that.
And Rachel pointed out that it had no blinds on the windows.
Oh,
That
never
was a
even
great.
noticed.
That was a great house and a really fun experience.
Great trip.
Yeah, great trip. And, we weren't like necessarily looking for, we don't really look for like that kind of place. We just look for a place to stay that,
Makes
bed,
sense. Close to
running
all the golf
water,
courses.
close to
Smoke
the golf
alarms on the
courses.
ceiling.
So we get to this place.
Has walls.
And I'm like,
Doesn't smell like cat piss.
you can tell it's like not in the best part of town. And, we pull
What
into
town
the
is this?
driveway. This is Akron,
Right.
Ohio. And we pull into the driveway, and, I noticed there's a Mike's Harder lemonade can and sitting randomly on a table in the back. The backyard is basically like a dirt pile with
A bit of a jungle gym.
a jungle gym,
A play
yeah.
set that was handmade.
Yeah.
Overhead ladder.
Not even.
No.
Underhead.
A fire pit that had just junk in it. And I was like, okay, whatever.
A double garage. They advertised a double garage.
I'm not judging here.
And it did have the double.
We did not go in the garage.
Not
I wonder if that was
didn't. No.
Yeah.
And then, we went in, and there was the smell of
Well, the front smell was cleaning agents.
yeah. And
Like outside the house.
No, inside.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And yeah, right. But underneath was like pet, like either cat or dog or something. And it was just, we were very aware of the smell. And, we just, and I'm allergic to cats.
You don't want to touch anything too much.
Right.
Was that
No,
the
no,
feeling?
no,
like
no, no.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And
You could tell that there had been a cleaning company in there.
Okay.
yeah.
At some point.
Like it wasn't filthy. I want to say this.
Last year.
I want to say it wasn't filthy.
No.
Like
Yeah.
you could. The bathroom was clean.
There were vacuum marks over the pea-stained carpet.
Okay.
The smell is just it's so hard to ignore that.
It is, and I could tell like Jay was dying a thousand deaths. Like his eyes were watering. Just having this allergic reaction.
When I picked the place,
when I looked at it, I was like, "This looks fine. Like it's not. It's no painted lady. I'll tell you that."
The painted lady.
Which was another place we stayed. The house was called
lovely
the Painted
Victorian
Lady.
home.
Yeah.
This was a Victorian home, one of the oldest homes in Akron, built in 1903.
But it was so weird. Like we walk in, so you walk in and
Cleaned in 1905.
yeah, we walked in, and to the left are stairs to go up to the second floor, and to the right is a bedroom that is like completely open, on, basically on two walls.
Like a living room, but a
Well,
bedroom.
yeah, right. But then like back further to the right on the same side as that bedroom, mind you, like it's completely open. Like you can see from the entryway into that bedroom, and you can see from the living room, which is a room back further from that bedroom, into that. And it was just weird. And what I didn't realize initially, but it was probably the best feature of the house.
Had to be.
Gorgeous old dark wood, original huge double wide pocket doors that completely closed the room off, which was really cool. Like it was cool. But then there was things like in the I noticed downstairs next to the TV there's just a smoke alarm just sitting there on a table, and I was like, that's kind of odd.
And a pile of screws.
Right? Yeah, pallet screws. The the exposed wiring in the downstairs bathroom.
Yeah, no plate on the switch.
And then we went upstairs.
And the door to the bathroom stopped.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it didn't reach the
About
top of the
6
door
inches.
frame.
That was the ventilation. Because there's no fan in there. And you can't open the window.
And your knees are touching the wall when you sit down on the toilet.
Oh, yeah. And so it went upstairs, and you get upstairs to the landing area at the top of the steps.
Joe hit his head on the stairwell.
Yeah. And there were like 2 or 3 other smoke alarms just sitting on the table up there. Like no batteries in them. And I was like,
Listen,
all right.
they intended to install them. They had good intentions.
In Ben's bedroom, he turns the lights on and it just starts flickering. The overhead light just flickered like a strobe light.
Yikes.
In the bathroom, the
The hot water worked.
the hot water, strong, good flow, hot. But if you wanted cold, nah, you can't.
It turned.
It turned very loosely.
The thing would have been to drain the hot water tank right to the point before it's actually drained, and then you get that nice mix of hot and cold water.
No,
that's
no,
what they were waiting for.
No, there's two.
Well, no, he's saying you'd have to run out of hot
Yeah,
water.
that's what I'm saying.
You
Run
gotta
out of
find
hot
that-
water.
Kind of find that sweet
Right,
spot.
and then you get about a minute there
Warm.
you go. Right.
The
It was kind of like a game house.
yeah.
Whereas the handle on the shower,
Yeah, no, there was not a handle on the shower.
Nope.
It was just like the internal mechanism, so you could use it, but
With
there
your
was
bare hand, you could use
Yeah.
it.
yeah.
Wow.
But there was no like knob for ergonomics
Like a doorknob,
or anything.
kinda.
It was very strange.
and then I mean, a third of the water did come out of the shower, and 2/3 still came out of the faucet like you were taking a bath.
Well, at least they put the exposed wiring right there in the shower to,
Yeah.
in case you need something to hold on
The
to.
thing I kept saying was, "Wait, what? All right." Like, I said that 75. Like, wait, oh, all right, okay,
And, like the faucet in the kitchen was all loose and weird and
not attached.
yeah, not attached.
This is terrible.
It was.
I mean, I don't, how are they allowed to even get away with this?
It's hard to say.
I don't know.
Oh, I haven't even looked at my review.
I'd like them to have like a come to Jesus moment.
How many
and
nights-
just make the updates that just the things that you need.
Well, just yeah,
You know?
like how about your house
Yeah.
work like a house?
So we requested that we only stay there one night. We check out in the morning, and then we stayed at another Airbnb.
Was that difficult to arrange?
No, Jay did it, and I will say they didn't respond right away. He was working, but they were very nice about it.
The Airbnb host was working. I was disc golfing.
Right, and they were very nice. They offered us 50% off the second night if we wanted, but we did not want that.
We said no.
Did you have to give a reason for canceling?
Oh, I gave a reason.
We explained it was mainly due to the pet smell and the allergy reaction that we were having.
Okay, that was sort of your out.
I was pretty okay until like nighttime when I'm like sleeping in the bed and
Oh, did you sleep in the bed?
I did.
I pulled comforter off, slept on top sheet.
I checked for bed bugs, but I did not see any.
Wow, what a strange experience.
All that being said, oh, man, one of the best disc golf trips that we've ever had. It was so fun. I was playing okay the first 2 days, but then we played a course on the way home called the Grassman, and I just played out of my mind. Like, I was just hitting long putts. I was having good drives and really good approach shots and just getting around, trouble. If I got in trouble, I got out of it and in a good spot. Like, it was just awesome. And that course, my favorite course on the trip by far. I might be a little biased on how well I played, but it was like, it was beautiful. It was along, what lake was that? Do you remember the lake that it was near?
I do not.
What a great feeling when you're in the zone like that.
Yeah, but it was just beautiful. Like, you come out of the woods and there's the lake, and it just looked pretty. And you go back in the woods, and it was pretty in the woods. And you go back out and see the lake. So it was just nice.
We spell that course name.
The Grassman, Grassman, just like
I'm calling it Grassman.
Grassman.
West Branch
I'm a
State
grass
Park.
man.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
And my review is not posted, and I definitely posted it. Not of the golf course, but
on
of
the
the
Airbnb.
Airbnb,
Which is maybe
shady.
why it has a 4.48.
Right,
out of
that's
5.
the other thing. Like, we know what to look for. We know to read reviews.
Right.
Are they allowed to take them down?
Maybe everything just happened real quick before you guys got there. Like the last person was there last week.
The one,
it was great.
So there was a finished.
A herd
There was
of
a,
cats
there was a
broke into the
finished
house.
attic, which mainly meant that
You
there
could
was,
get to it.
You could get to it, and there wasn't any studs. Like, it was all shoddy drywall or whatever. But Joe and Ben go up
I'd say
there.
there were 4 studs in that house anyway.
But Joe and Ben go up there, and there's a full bottle of beer.
It's opened.
It's open. And Ben touches it, and he goes, "Oh, it's cold."
It wasn't.
It wasn't because it was 110 degrees in the attic.
That is hilarious.
Jared from Spencer, Massachusetts, April 2024. The home was very well kept and very modernized, spacious, and just felt very comfortable. Plus, there was a fenced-in yard for my dog as well, and off-street parking that was private, as well with a gate for security.
His name's Jared.
Wow.
Yep.
Jared effed it up.
Well, no, because 3 weeks ago, everything was great. We'd definitely use them again. Eliza.
There's no way, dude. There's no way.
These are that's fake.
Now, there's one bad one from Camilla a year ago, 1 star. But, yep, everything was accurate and provided. It's not accurate at all.
It's not. It's
At
really
all.
not.
At all. At all.
Like, in the pictures, it looks fine. Like I said, like, place to stay. Whatever. We're going to be out for the majority of the day anyway. Oh, and I got to talk about, we went to this place called Luigi's. to eat Luigi's.
It's in the Station Square of Akron.
Yeah. But it's been there since like 1949.
Correct.
Yeah. Best Italian hoagie I've ever had.
Amazing place.
It was unbelievable.
Not expensive.
It was recommended by a coworker of mine, Jamie. Shout out to Jamie. And oh man, it was delicious. And the service was awesome too.
I had a $13.95 strip steak because that's about the only gluten-free thing they had.
Yeah.
And it was good.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah, 'cause you go-
$13.95.
You think like you go to an Italian place, pizza, pasta. Like Ben got pasta. Joe also got an Italian hoagie. But like steak is going to be that like secondary item.
The bread.
Oh, the bread. They make their own bread. Oh man.
I just stuck my nose up in it. I was just like,
It was so good. It was just so good. So yeah, it
oh,
was.
we are 23 minutes in.
Oh, sorry. Great trip though. So fun. And man, I can't wait till the next one. Brian, you good?
Yeah, I'm good.
How's your summer going?
Great.
Well, then let's talk about
Let's
it.
talk about it.
Trucking along.
Yep.
Hey, I am glad that Bethany and that Ashley and Mary Lynn and Breaking 90 have all made it possible for us to be here tonight. And they sit at the head of the table. You too can sit at the head of the table by going to lunchtimeinroom.com and becoming a paid subscriber. It is not expensive, and it means the world to us. You can also just cut us a check.
Well, and we do have like a goal of like we want to improve some of our equipment. I would love to get better microphones, just to make recording easier and nicer.
Will it make my voice sound
Oh
sexier?
yeah. Oh yeah.
Good.
So please, we love the help and the assistance, and it's awesome.
And when we get more perks, you will get them first.
Yep.
So we wanted to talk about tonight summer. Summer is such a, I don't know, I think it's, Brian, it's your favorite season outside of Christmas season.
It's true.
And I think there's a lot of pressure on it. I think it's, you wait all year for it. Like I was walking into Sam's Club today and I'm like, man, it's hot. Just a minute ago, I was wearing a coat saying, can't wait until summer.
Yeah.
But it caused me to think like growing up, summer was one thing.
Yeah.
But now as adults, it's a different thing.
Yeah.
And so I kind of wanted to talk about what's better, summer now, summer then.
Yeah.
And we asked some people to write in, and Amy, who sat with us last week, Amy Raymond, she said, I had a whole response typed out, and it vanished.
Just like Jay's review on Airbnb.
Yeah.
She accidentally typed it in Airbnb.
I blame Canfora. That was our host.
Call
She
him
said,
out.
I'm not sure one summer, now or then, is better than the other. It's just different. I have lots of fond memories of my kids' summers, and I hope my girls are making them for themselves now.
Yeah.
Which, thank you for not answering the question. But do you guys want to talk about our viewpoint on first, or do we want to read other people's first?
Sure, let's read other people's first.
We've been talking a lot about us,
Yeah, we have.
so I think everybody has them.
I did. I made the executive decision. Normally, Jay usually has the outline, and then we have a back and forth kind of.
Yeah, but something like this, we're not teaching what people are saying.
Right. So I made the executive decision to print them all out for us so we could read together.
Turtle says it's almost better back then. Mostly because we tend to remember only the good. People who don't think it was better back then typically don't have the luxury of ignoring the bad parts of their personal yesteryear.
That's deep.
That is
Yeah.
deep.
It is deep and it's true.
Yeah, I feel that.
Well, let's break that down.
You remember childhood with a little bit of a glowy haze.
Yeah, I mean, I remember, growing up, we went to my family had a camp in Shawnee State Park, or near Shawnee State Park, I should say, and when you're that age, growing up, 8, 9, 10, like you don't know family issues going on, you don't know who's annoying who really, and you're just. I was just catching, crayfish down in the creek,
Right.
all summer. So I think there is like a kind of a haze over it all, a good haze, in summer past. Yep.
What's like
Words.
What's the good? Excuse me. What's the bad? Like if you guys delve into your memories of like 10-year-old or 8-year-old summer, if we tend to remember the good better, like is there anything bad?
Oh, sure.
Like even just like
I do remember some bee stings.
yeah.
Like what is bad though as a kid? Like what I mean,
And
that's
something makes
that-
you cry.
Well, and that's for me. Like even saying that, I'm like I had such a blessed childhood because I can't be like, well, what is bad? Like a bee sting's bad. There are kids right now that are, well, my parents locked me in my bedroom and didn't feed me for, in the hot sweltering, they didn't feed me for 3 days. Like,
That used to be a fun podcast.
But wait, that's a good point.
Yeah.
But there were also people then.
there's also people then, exactly.
But
That's
I
what
think it goes
right.
to Turtle's point. Typically, they don't have the luxury of ignoring the bad parts.
Mm-hmm.
And to me,
Interesting.
that was the statement that I think stood
Yeah,
out.
so
that
Brian's
in any
touching on that.
generation, there are those who are like, nope, it was terrible. I think for me, to answer your question, Chris, would be two things. One is boredom. When
Yeah.
and two is you're always waiting. Like we went on vacation every year. Is it vacation yet? Is it vacation yet? Are we going to Kennywood? Do we go to Kennywood? Is it the Westinghouse picnic yet? Like you wish away your summer as a kid, and you're bored when you're not doing anything.
Yeah.
For me,
I can see that a little bit. Like with me growing up, my brother was 4 years older than me, so there's quite a pretty good age gap between us. So I would ride my bike a lot around like our yard, and we had a cul-de-sac street that I rode on a lot and whatnot. But my parents did a good job of taking me to where my friends did live on Verona Hilltop, and we would ride bikes up there. So like they did a good job of like getting me out, so I wasn't alone. But there were times where I was like, man, there's only so many times I can go up and down this hill on my bike, that kind of thing.
the next one,
I just wanted to chime in that I didn't have too many bads either. Like it was mostly for me personal injuries, like falling off my bike or again falling off my bike. That was usually the one.
the second time.
Or like the few times over the years where I like was in arguments with my friends in my neighborhood and we weren't getting along for a day or something, and then
everything was fine.
yeah, right, of course, yeah.
I love our next answer.
Yes.
Oh, Ricky says definitely better when I was a kid, mainly because I was a kid.
That's kind of what I touched on, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But being Ricky Oswald, I mean, that's exactly like I just love her answer. It's
Yeah.
absolutely
Yeah.
great.
Oh, Brian, you want to read your mom's answer?
I bet he doesn't. Well, I mean, it's about him. That's kind of awkward.
Sally Feeney her. I liked summer when my kids were young. And then I watched my grands. And then when I watched my grands.
Kids.
Activities such as swimming, going to the different parks, the kids playing in the sandbox, picnics. With Ethan and Abby, we were rarely in the house. I liked it when I had the kids. We had fun. Back in the day, as a kid, our neighbors, were always outside, playing baseball in our neighbor's yard, riding bikes, exploring in the woods behind our houses. In the winter, this is about summer, so I'm not going to read the rest.
No.
Now, so many kids and adults are glued to the devices.
So we are putting her next to Amy Raymond.
Yeah.
And he didn't answer the question bin. She gave us a review of all of the summers.
Yeah.
And some winners. She's very thorough. We appreciate the insight. But it is important to point out that today kids and adults are glued to their devices.
Yeah, well, I think her point is her memories of just being good because of the kids and being outside. Like, good is outside, whether it was her or kids that she was watching.
Well, to be fair, she is actually saying summers were better back then.
Yeah.
Because Ethan and Abby are now
Right.
glued to their devices.
She is now at the point where summers must suck. Because she doesn't have the kids, and she's not really outside. She can't really be outside.
Nope. You're all welcome. I'll tell you later.
I remember, we had an amazing. My summers were awesome. Let me just start with that.
Well, you lived in Titusville.
How could they not be
I'm
great?
saying.
And
One of my best summers ever was in Titusville.
Absolutely. I wish I was there.
I was in Titusville.
I mean, I
last
was
summer.
there, but I wish I was. Yeah.
With
anyway,
me.
Yeah.
Rowing,
Yeah.
which is what I was doing, which is why it was so great. What? Rowing a boat.
In Oil Creek.
No, in a pond in my mom's cousin's farmhouse.
Oh, the Titusville cousins.
Yeah, my mom's cousins in Titusville. The one had a pond, and we got to shoot
She didn't
guns.
mention that.
She didn't. But I think
That's
that's maybe
true.
she might have implied it, but
Right.
But anyways, your summers were great.
Well,
Wild
we just
and
had
great.
a ton of kids, in my neighborhood, and I was outside all the time. But thinking back, speaking of glued to devices, like I do remember.
Wait, what was your gang? The Willow Street Rowdies or something?
We call them the Walnut Street
Jerks.
Oh, no.
Wild things.
I thought you called yourselves that.
Did I?
Well,
I think so.
I don't know.
He made it up on
I
the
made
spot,
something
but
up. I don't remember anymore.
you and the Walnut Street weirdos.
We're gonna call them the Walnut Street Whiz Bangs.
No. Walnut Street Wet Willies?
Ew, no. Anyway, I do remember a couple kids in the neighborhood who weren't outside as much, and I like looking back, like the one kid I'm thinking of especially was like
Bubble Boy?
so into movies. No, I just think he was like glued. Even back then, like it was not like multiple devices, but just man, he
was like comic book
He
guy.
spent his summer like reading and maybe reading, but definitely watching movies and being inside. Poor him.
Good old Merle. I liked it back when we did things outside. Always had friends to do things and had fun. Don't remember such intense weather, heat and humidity. Heck, even our kids spent the majority of the summer outside with friends. No screens! And of course, going to the Highlands pool with the kids was awesome, and it's no longer there. So she's firmly in the camp of back then.
Back then.
Well, and to be fair, like just observing the kids in the neighborhood we live in, they're out riding bikes. They're outside.
Yeah, we have some too. Yeah.
You can't see the pool from the street, but I can hear them having a good time, and I know they're not on their phone. Like, I don't really see them on their phone,
It's a good point.
There's a lot of kids that are outside.
I think it's when they're inside now.
Well, sure.
Like, we don't lock kids out. Like
but so are the adults,
Sure. I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, let's add somebody to the Amy, Sally. Well, no, Sally did answer the question. So let's have Amy join Mary Lynn.
Oh, Mary Lynn.
Oh, yeah. As long as it was warm weather or a good thunderstorm, it was good. Then or now.
Also not answering the question.
I don't know. I feel like a good 1960s thunderstorm,
Better than today's.
Better than today's thunderstorms.
No screens?
But I will say this. Well, what if you're looking through a screen?
Oh, no. Anytown, USA.
Well, that screws the whole thing up.
But a memory that I barely tap into, and I mean barely, in the house we grew up in, which is now Marilyn and Bob's house, big guy, General Big Guy, the driveway goes down to what used to be the garage, is now the family room. I mean, I was, I think, 5 when they did that. I remember sweeping in between the studs for the flooring. But I do remember at least once for me, but apparently this was a tradition before I was around, on a thunderstorm, they would open the garage door, and my mom would make popcorn, and they would drink Kool-Aid and eat popcorn and sit in the garage on folding chairs, metal folding chairs, and watch the rain come down and go down the drain.
Wow. that is
love
really
a
cool,
memory
though.
like
That's
that.
such
That
a,
is.
yeah.
Well, and it's what happens around that. It's the conversation. It's the game you make up.
Popcorn, yeah.
Yeah, the game
That
you
is
make
very
up.
Back when popcorn was popcorn.
Right.
Yeah.
So, Crystal, teacher at the high school. It was better back then. See?
There
There's
you go.
a teacher.
Take a stance.
Take a stance. We used to run. It was so funny. We used to run and play all over the neighborhood. Like, I just see her like, just running all day long. Now kids are confined to their yards and making play dates. See, your mom dropped you off on the Verona Hilltop,
Yeah.
picked you up some other time.
Yeah, and I think that's more true, I think, because I do see that more. Like, I don't really see, like, neighborhood kids going to play with other neighborhood kids. I see them kind of staying with their own group. I do see that.
Yeah.
Before we do dance,
Yeah,
do
we
wanna
got
do ours.
Yes, I think we finished with Dan because there's a lot there.
Okay. I'll go first. I would say summers were better back then.
You weren't working.
I wasn't working, wasn't in school. I loved being outside. I loved, I had a basketball hoop. I had a jungle gym. I rode my bike a lot. I had a scooter. So a lot of that was awesome. And like I mentioned before, my parents would take me up to Verona Hilltop, and we just rode the streets. There was a little corner store. We'd stop and get
You guys
something.
call yourself anything?
No, not that I can. We put the aluminum can on the back of our
Nice.
bike, so it sounds like a dirt bike. kind of, not really. And we would go in the woods, you know.
Going in the woods is such a great kid's
is the
thing.
best. I remember having it was like a He-Man sword, and like I killed a snake with it. Just those
Might have been a
memories.
worm. Hard
Yeah,
to say.
and I remember like one of my favorite things was going up to our family's camp because slept outside next to my dad next
Didn't
to the
have ticks
fire.
back then.
Didn't have ticks back then.
I have a whole conspiracy about ticks.
There was a creek down below our campsite, which led to a swimming hole that opened up, and it was
Old swimming
about 3 or
hole.
4 feet
Find any
deep.
dead bodies?
No,
Nah,
no,
that's
no,
one
it
of the
was
best
there.
parts of playing in the woods.
You could walk all the way to the covered bridge. That was a far walk, but it was cool.
Yeah.
So just things like that, and I grew up in the generation that went from analog to digital. So like I had some screens, and I did like that stuff. I did have I don't know if you guys remember the little Tiger handheld games. Like each thing was an individual game. Like I had a racing one, a basketball one, and so I did like that stuff in the car and whatnot. But I did like being outside. A lot of it was being outside, and I don't know, like it was just like, the school year's over. And
Simpler times.
simpler, because I mean, it was just like, what are we gonna do today? Let's figure something out. Let's do something
Phineas
fun.
and Ferb, man.
Yeah, and that was
This entire show made on
right.
that.
Because now, I mean, yes, summer's good. Yes, I love watching Maggie, swim in, Brian's pool and all of that. But like, a lot of it is like work, get to vacation, work, get to the next thing. So it's not that freedom of just like finding out and having fun and doing something. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So back then,
feel you.
summer back then, I'm
Thanks
taking
taking
a
a firm
stance.
stance.
Boom.
Agreed. I definitely am a back then summer, and I think for me, a lot of it was, in a weird way, sleeping with the window open, like going to bed, hearing the cars going up and down. We didn't have air conditioning, so it was
Yeah,
sleeping.
neither did we. Yeah.
Sleeping at the windows open, or being at the old Ocean City house is one that really stands out to me, because there was a screened back porch that you slept in, and
Listen to the ocean.
yeah, and the ocean
Yeah.
was closer. Like the beach wasn't nearly as long, so the ocean was a little bit closer. And like I remember those, but then all of our friends, like when we would have the hops or the po-fis, people coming down. So I mean, the beach is a huge part of my summers. Being at my parents had a pool. Reading a ton, just like I remember, like just being outside and reading and looking up at the clouds and just daydreaming. I would spend hours in my sandbox, playing with the little what are they? metal cars. Yeah, little Matchbox cars, and
For Hot Wheels, but go on.
whichever.
Yeah, all right.
And
Being a kid, being free.
just losing myself in imagination, and there was no time. There was no, now I only have so many hours to daydream and play in the sandbox, and then I got to go do this. There wasn't any of that.
Summers
It
were
is
longer.
timeless,
Summers were longer when you were a kid too.
and like just the nights with the fireflies.
Oh
and
yeah.
just those nights that are wild, like and somebody starts a kickball game up the street, and you go up and play until you can't see anything anymore. So for me, yeah, definitely passed.
Here's another vote for pass, and I'm not going to say too much because Brian, your childhood sounds like my childhood, and it was just playing outside. I will just chime in on the idea of time, and I think this is the biggest reason why I vote for back then, is that time was so nebulous. There is no how many more hours do I have? At least not until you're a little bit older are you
Yeah.
worried about that. Like when you are like elementary age, oh my gosh, it's just like time to go out and play. I'm not coming in until my mom calls me, and then she calls for dinner and I go in and I eat for 5 minutes and back out I go, and you know what I mean? So just that, and like it felt so long.
Yeah,
I
it
wasn't
did.
counting down like how many more days of summer. It was
Yeah.
just
Like-
like summer forever.
Right now, I'm like, I can't believe we're more than halfway through June. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Don't think about it.
I do have one I forgot. Summer camp.
Yeah.
I went to Boy Scout camp and I went to church camp, and like I just loved camp. Like camp was just so much fun. Being with
guy.
your friend, yeah. But I mean, organized camp, like you get to go Boy Scout camp.
What Boy Scout camp? You went to like Heritage or whatever? Or did you
I
go
did-
to Twin Echo?
I did both.
Oh,
Yeah. But like Boy Scout camp, you were working for a merit badge, or you were shooting, doing target shooting with, bow and arrow or a 22 or something like that. Yeah. And it was, that was just fun. And church camp was just, growing up and learning about God and getting closer to God, getting on that mountaintop moment, good worshiping. We went to Ligonier, and they did worship outside in this big pavilion, and that was kind of cool, like worshiping like kind of semi outside, which was fun. And like the mess hall and like all those moments that you have with your friends, and like, I dare you to eat this, we'll combine all these foods together, and I dare you to eat it, that kind of stuff. But yeah, I love summer camp.
I think the other thing too is like growing up in the 80s, as a kid in the 80s, we had 1983, there was a almost World War III happen. There was almost nuclear war. Something malfunctioned, and we came within like minutes of actually having nuclear war. I didn't know about that. I didn't think about that.
I was 12.
Like the pressure, that like those kind of things. There was no like other foot about to drop. There was no
Right.
like, hey, I'm carrying this thing, or there's this really clear and present danger like somewhere in the back of my mind. No, there wasn't clear and present danger. It was like,
I got no school,
right.
and I got
Right, but the
whatever I wanted to
clear
do
and
today.
present danger was like, is my friend group gonna, be mad at me today for
Right,
something? You know what I mean?
right.
Like,
Eric, the 80s were this magical time.
I lived in the 80s,
All
brother.
right. I was just trying to be funny.
So allow me to be a little bit contrarian.
I love it.
And it was from the get-go, when I thought of this topic, I thought about it, and I was like, nope, summers are better now. But listening to everybody talk, I think I had a bit of a moment here, and that goes back to, I said earlier that summers back then was all about waiting to go to Kennywood, waiting to go to vacation, whatever else. And what I'm thinking is, I grew up on a dead-end street. There were 7, 8 houses, and one person my age who was a girl who lived at the top of the hill, and we had nothing in common. So I was a trendsetter. I was ahead of times. If I wanted to do something, I had to go to a friend's house.
Play date.
Right, but they already had their neighborhood friends, and so it would be like maybe once every other week. So what was I doing? Waiting for the next time to do that. So as you guys are talking about like the different activities, like I would go up to Forbes School and ride my bike by myself. When you said the scary things, it was, am I going to land that jump and not flip over the front
Right.
by
Yes.
myself,
Right.
or land on the crossbar, which both things happened.
Yeah.
Didn't know how I was going to get home. But so my summers were spent predominantly alone. And so if I think about what was I looking forward to? Well, vacation, Kennywood. Well, what's that? Time my whole family was together. Now, like if I think back to summers, like there's no memories of like, there was no neighborhood kids. It was me, I remember family dinners were cool. We would eat outside on the picnic table. Dad would come home from work, whatever else. For a minute, we belonged to Rosedale Pool, but that was like 1 year. But what I like about it now
Oh man, I forgot about Rosedale.
is that was all about, when I first thought of this concept, I was like, I liked it better back then I didn't like it back then because it was all about me. I'm bored. I'm waiting. I'm this. Now, the summers I have now, it's about me. I just worked on my disc golf course today. We get to go on a disc golf trip. We're going to go another one later this summer, early fall. I'm going away with Rachel. I took my kids on vacation every year of their lives up until this year. It's about everybody else and me. Whereas when you're a kid, it's all about you.
Yeah.
And now it's about more than just me.
Yeah.
But maybe it's because there's more around me.
Yeah.
Whereas when I was a kid, it was just about me.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But because I still enjoy summer now. And it's also a little unfair because I don't have a 9 to 5.
Sure.
Can you call back in your brain?
I really thought you were going to say, can you call off? I was like,
And I think I know the answer, but like, can you still recall that like lonely feeling?
I wouldn't even inherently. The only lonely I remember from my childhood would be like the last person to leave the house. So I wasn't left alone when I was 4. But for whatever years I was left alone, like if mom would take somebody somewhere, and I'd be like, and I'm alone again. Like I would always remember that. But that's why I also had like all the games you talk about. Like I had so many games around the house, it was ridiculous. Like I could play baseball by myself. I would throw it off the wall, and if I caught it on the fly, because it was a multi stone wall, so I had these like cork baseballs that if I threw it, it might come back a grounder, it might come back in the air. And so I had all that set up. I would serve a volleyball off the roof, and there was like a corner, and I would bump and set and roll shot and everything else. I put a net up in my front yard, and I would throw it off the roof would be the set, because then it would bounce and come back, and then I would hit it, and then I would have to go walk for like 100 feet to go get the ball. So I mean, I have all those games, but I don't remember like saying, "Oh, I'm lonely." The only time I felt lonely was when like the last person would leave.
No, that's a very deep analysis of why your summers are better now. I think that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what's deep?
What?
Dan Leppold.
Dan Leopold.
Yeah.
Strap on, everybody. Yeah.
Yep.
He starts with, I can remember staring at the ceiling.
Oh, the rest of this is
Yes.
got it.
Dan has like half a page, and it's tight.
Bullet point.
Yeah.
I can remember staring at the ceiling, trying to fall asleep without air conditioning at night and just sweating.
I can remember that too. We like Brian said before. Yeah, you guys didn't have.
We didn't have it.
We didn't have it either, but we did have a whole house fan. That would,
Wow, you're fancy.
well, it was, but it was loud. But I actually I got used to it. I grew up with it,
Like those old church fans.
and I actually kind of liked it. Yeah, it was like it was
Kind of yelling, oh, on
Probably the-
top.
Was it like up in the
was
in,
up in the
the
ceiling.
attic?
Yeah.
Yeah, the fan was up in the attic, and it was probably about the size of like half of a door, I would say. And these three
Louvers.
would open up as the fan would draw air up. But it was always loud. But I kind of need noise now to sleep, like just because I think growing up with that.
Yep, me too.
Yeah.
He can also remember hanging out with the neighborhood youth. When did Dan become 75?
The youths.
Outside on a hot summer night, no one recording what we talked about, no photographs taken. They lived in the moment, and he recalls it being nice.
It's a great point.
I do kind of like the ability to take pictures now. I think I do like that, so you can look back. I love looking back the past 5 years at Maggie growing up, and we can do that so much more. But like not having like somebody recording you in an embarrassing moment, or
Yeah, you couldn't even videotape when we were kids.
yeah, like it was you had to spend like $5,000 to get a shoulder mounted camera.
Not in my day.
Yeah, I grew up in the 80s.
I can remember Wildwood, New Jersey boardwalk being safe. Eric
Is
and
that the one we went to?
yeah, me and Eric and Amy and Lex have just such a great Wildwood boardwalk.
It was kind of later at night, right?
It was September.
Yeah, well, it was late in the season, and everything was closed. And then this
It was alternate bizarro world.
Yeah, it was this one single, like ice cream place.
Yeah.
And they were the loneliest person I think we've ever like
Walk
ran
past.
into.
Hey, you guys want ice cream? You guys want to stop? But it was so creepy too.
And I was like, not now.
It was such a funny experience. But yes, Dan, the Wildwood, it's a little sketchier now.
He says, I can remember when tattoos were rare and always had deep meaning like a veteran or armed forces.
Come on, Dan. Why is he like getting all? I mean, it's all nostalgia right now.
Yeah.
The anchor.
Do you think he thought
Yeah.
that as a kid, though? I'm wondering, I think he remembers.
I mean, growing up, I don't remember tattoos the way they are now. No way.
No.
Sure.
It would get an anchor from a guy that was in the Navy.
Yeah, and I remember because you mentioned
Bikers.
you mentioned,
Bikers had tattoos.
You mentioned Rosedale Pool, and I totally forgot about this.
Large Marge had one.
But no, I loved Rosedale Pool. I was there all the time, and it's actually my favorite summer smell is chlorine, sunscreen, and cigarettes. Like that's the way it smelled. It was just the best. But there was a guy, an older guy, and he had that classic Anchor 2 on his forearm that somebody in the armed forces, probably in the Navy, probably
And what's
did it
crazy is
himself.
if you think about it, that was either Korea, maybe Vietnam, but probably Korea or World War II if he was that old.
Yeah, because he was old. Yeah, he was old back then. Yeah.
I can remember hanging out at someone's car listening to what the DJ was playing on the car radio, and then calling the DJ on a landline asking them to play some Van Halen.
Yeah.
There ain't no
Going
spot-
back inside the house, calling the DJ, running back out to the car.
Right.
It's so easy today. Hey, Spotify. Hey Siri, play
Yeah.
Van Halen.
Now he takes a stand.
Yeah. He chimes in with, I think summer during the 1970s was better than today.
I like it. I
Look
like
at some
it.
of the words he uses next. St. Bart's Fair with the poker, Big Chuck.
Yeah, shout out to Big Chuck,
Not
whoever that
Chuck-a-Luck.
is.
No, that's the Chuck-a-Luck wheel.
Oh, sorry.
But it
okay.
was a large version. Big
Oh,
Chuck.
Big Chuck.
Yeah, no, that wasn't like a guy in his neighborhood.
Shout out to Big Chuck. Spinning the stacks of wax.
Fireworks and politically correct, he points out, cute chicks everywhere.
They were everywhere.
I can remember being without any sort of curfew or accountability. Today, parents track their kids' phones. Terrible. Terrible.
Now, I do remember I did have like a curfew. I had to be back, or my mom had
Lights
a,
on is typically.
If I was down on it, it was a street down below us, is the cul-de-sac that I referenced earlier, that she would ring a bell from the house, and I could hear it, and that was my cue to come home for dinner or whatever. Yeah.
Which is why to this day, if a bell rings, your mouth waters.
Mm-hmm.
But you also get nervous and scared.
Interesting.
I remember drinking watered down Tang and thinking how life can't get any better. Now that is that's something from the 70s.
You
Yeah.
can still tell.
I don't think I've ever had Tang.
I don't
Oh,
know
yeah.
that I've ever had like a real thing.
Yeah.
Like, does it still exist?
Yeah,
Is it like
oh,
orange drink, like Turner's orange
And anybody who
drink?
doesn't
No.
know, it was
No?
like the drink
Okay.
of.
Yes, it's like
Oh,
orange drink.
yeah.
It's like
No,
No.
it's not like Turner's.
Okay, because I like Turner's orange drink.
It's more like, you know what it was? It was the kids' version of, like LaCroix.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, and it was like a NASA thing, right?
It's like,
didn't-
it's like
that's why
somebody
it was
burped
popular.
in orange.
And- and if you didn't
gotcha.
mix it right, like it could be gritty. Like you had to mix it
Oh,
up.
yeah, okay.
The ice cream man with the tunes playing from that yellow VW Bug.
Huh. What kind of ice cream man
That's
was in a
interesting.
VW Bug?
Do not know. That's the other thing. I love that he says it's the skydivers during the St. Bart's Fair.
You remember that
That's
too?
extravagant.
To the point where it was St. Bart's Fair, and there was another fair. Maybe it was like the Penn Hills. I don't know what other fair it was. I remember being a small child, and always, anytime I'd see a Cessna, basically looking back, I would be like, "Are they skydivers?" And my dad just being like, "No." I'm like, "Are those skydivers?" No, because it was once or twice a year was a plane going to be a skydiver.
Yeah.
But I'm asking every time, was it a skydiver?
Riding my bike way farther away from my home than anyone thought I could.
Which is funny because he grew up 2 streets over from where I live now. So it goes Clematis, then Datura, and then on Janus. So
Oh,
between
okay. Yeah.
like my house and Highland.
Yeah.
So I wonder how far
Yeah,
away
yeah.
farther than anyone thought.
Yeah.
over to Clematis.
Century 3 Mall.
Yeah. That's one thing that I did not like growing up was we lived on a main road,
Sure.
and I was only kind of secluded to like a certain area, and I couldn't. That's why I love going up to the hilltop.
I always took my bike through the Penn Hills High School, and like the old hill that came down past the maintenance building, so
Yeah.
I could cut down onto Idlewood.
Yeah.
Boy, that place was a dump for a while.
When
the Fralick, the football field, that was back in the 80s. That was
Yeah.
a dump.
when I was older, like early teens, before driving was the thing, we would take our bikes like back in the woods, and then like invariably where I lived, Titusville, end up with like near some
You
railroad
would find the
tracks.
Demogorgon.
Probably if we went a little further,
Mm-hmm.
but like we would ride along railroad tracks and like find another trail off of the railroad tracks. Like we would end up, I don't even know how far I was from home, probably like half a mile,
was like
but it
Stand
felt
By
like
Me,
10
know?
miles.
It was like Stand By Me. The
Yeah.
movie. Yeah.
Then he gets a little philosophical. He says, "I guess it's sort of hard to compare though because we change." If
Now
we
he's
were-
starting to waffle.
Right.
He
He's
took a
firmly in
stand.
one camp.
Come on.
And he says if we were all still 7 years old, we could better gather meaningful data on summer 2024 compared to summer 1977. And that's true. It's hard to look way back.
That would be an interesting comparison to have, like maybe more Joe and Ben of like their summers compared to our summers. That'll be next summer's issue or podcast.
Issue.
You know what I mean?
Simpler is normally better, so I do think I'm lucky to have grown up in Penn Hills in the 70s.
See, I don't know. Because my summers as a kid were very simple.
Right.
Too simple.
Yeah, exactly. But he said, I enjoy being able to look at my weather radar signature on my phone today and being able to better plan my summer day.
He also has money now, so summer is better today than when he had no money to buy treats from the ice cream man. But he enjoys those treats more now because he could not enjoy them back in the day.
I mean,
That's a Dan answer right there.
is a very important person at this table.
Yes.
Because he took us from the old days were better,
Yeah.
I'm not sure, to today is definitely better.
This last one is great too.
I think the true answer involves calculus, so I'm out. I don't do that blank anymore.
He's always provided
He's a
great
poet.
great content for the show. I've always been very appreciative of when
You've only met him
comments.
once?
I know. I had a hot dog with him.
Yep.
It's a good hot dog.
It was a good hot dog.
At his modern day Wildwood, which is Cape May.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Another reason why his summer's better now.
Yeah. He didn't have hot dogs.
I'll give a quick shout out today too, just because it happened the other day. Somebody mentioned lightning bugs earlier.
Oh yeah.
Fireflies, if you're not from around here. And man, it is like peak season right now.
Yep.
Amy, Ben, and I were sitting on our deck and enjoying the twilight, right?
Yeah.
And it gets just a little darker, and they start to come out. And I'm telling you, after just barely after sunset, it was like paparazzi. I don't think I've ever seen lightning bugs like that. Like you could just sort of like unfocus, so you weren't like trying to find them. You were just taking it all in.
Yeah.
And it was like flash.
It's wondrous.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Which, we've been spared because this is one of the years of the cicadas. And they're out, like where the cicadas are. Do you guys know about that?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I haven't like
I have
noticed
we haven't heard
anything.
them at
No,
all.
we haven't heard of
I've
it.
seen the lanternfly spawn already.
I have
They're
seen
all
some
over the
today.
place.
Just kill
They're
everyone
fun.
I've seen.
Yeah.
But what if every time a firefly flashed, if it just went, you'd be like, that's so cool. And then you're like, oh, there they go.
so
again.
annoying.
Yes.
I remember hitting them with. I know. But we hit them with a wiffle ball bat when I was a kid.
yeah.
Because when you hit them, they would like helicopter like down, like they would spin around, and it just looked awesome because they were all lit up.
We could have done a whole show on odd summertime activities. Like I've never done it or known, but I know that some people go bat fishing.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Fun fact moment, because I went 48 years of my life without knowing this answer or looking it up. Do you guys know why lightning bugs light up?
No.
They're mating.
It's to attract a mate, and then there's a second reason, to attract food, because like insects are attracted to light.
yeah.
So they attract like smaller bugs and eat them.
Check out the light on that. You know what I'm saying?
So that's another good like everybody likes lightning bugs, right? They're
Oh,
not
yeah.
creepy and stuff.
Yeah.
And they eat other bugs.
Well, the cicadas come up to mate, so they've been underground for 16 years doing stuff.
yeah, they're weird, man. That's a
Then they
weird
come
thing,
up,
man.
mate, and
is
die.
weird.
doing stuff.
It's just it's like alien-like.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, it is alien.
Yeah, it's weird. They were here the whole time.
Well, with that, we're going to wrap up episode 249. Ooh, next week, I'm going to miss it, guys, because I'm going out of town again. Episode 250, sort of a milestone episode.
Oh, it's going to be a big one.
Wow.
You can join us next Wednesday for episode 250, live at 8:30ish. Between now and then, please give us a like or follow on social media and visit us at lunchtimeinrome.com. While there, take the relational needs questionnaire. Thanks for joining us at the table for Lunchtime in Rome.
See you next week.
Bye.
Thanks, ML and Big Guy, for joining us. Bye.